Check out carmarshal.com. The link is in the description. They help support us.
The suspect who managed to wrestle.
There are new questions about the murder of Baltimore detective Sean Suiter. He was gunned down 9 days ago, one day before he was set to testify in a federal corruption case against fellow officers. Here's Chris Van Cleve.
That is believed to be Baltimore Police Detective Sean Suiter's final radio call. The FBI is trying to enhance it, looking for any clues about the suspect who managed to wrestle away Suiter's gun and shoot the 18-year veteran officer in the head at close range. Baltimore Police Commissioner Kevin Davis.
We don't know exactly what he said, but he was clearly in distress.
Suiter, a father of 5, was killed the day before he was to testify in a federal corruption case against 8 Baltimore police officers.
People have asked me, how can it be possible that Detective Suiter was shot and killed on the eve of his grand jury testimony, and for that murder not to have anything to do with the grand jury testimony? And people have said, is that possible? And the answer is, of course it's possible.
Police don't have much on the suspect, but say Suiter noticed a man acting suspiciously and went to check it out. Investigators have unreleased video showing his partner taking cover at the sound of gunfire and calling for help. Suiter's murder prompted a citywide manhunt and the lockdown of the neighborhood where it happened. A small memorial now sits at the scene, where some are offering prayers.
He deserved that prayer. The family deserved that prayer. Our city of Baltimore deserved the prayer.
The reward for information leading to an arrest now sits at more than $200,000. Suiter's funeral is scheduled for Wednesday. Elaine?
Chris Van Cleve. Chris, thank you.
Egypt's military hit back today.
Feds have reopened 2010 case involving slain Baltimore detective and indicted gun task force officer. 4 members of the Baltimore Police Gun Trace Task Force were indicted this year for shaking down citizens and falsifying evidence. A federal inmate in a West Virginia prison reached out to the judge in his case. Umar Burley had been charged by a member of the task force. Now he wanted another look at his arrest. Could you imagine how hard it is to be here for a crime I didn't commit and struggling to find clarity and justice on my own, Burley said in a handwritten letter in June that is included in his court file. Burley was arrested in 2010 by then Detective Wayne Jenkins, one of the indicted gun task force members, and by Detective Sean Suiter, who was killed last week in Harlem Park. In court records filed at the time of Burley's arrest, Jenkins wrote that Suiter found drugs in Burley's vehicle, which was searched following a chase in northwest Baltimore that ended with a collision that killed an 87-year-old man. Federal prosecutors did reopen Burley's case. And Suiter, on the day after his death, had been scheduled to testify before a federal grand jury still investigating the gun task force, Police Commissioner Kevin Davis confirmed this week. It is not clear if Suiter's testimony was expected to touch on Burley's arrest. The slain detective had also worked with other members of the gun task force. Davis said Suiter was not a target of the federal investigation, and had a sterling reputation in the department. But the disclosure that Suiter was going to testify brings together 2 cases that have rocked the city this year: the indictment of an elite unit tasked with taking guns off the street, and the first killing in a decade of an on-duty Baltimore police officer. Baltimore police racketeering case timeline. Davis said police have no reason to believe Suiter's death is connected to his testimony, calling the attack spontaneous. No suspect has been identified. Records show that Burley contested the charges at the time of his arrest but eventually pleaded guilty and has been serving a 15-year sentence. Jenkins has not entered a plea in the racketeering indictment. A trial date is tentatively scheduled for January. Burley's arrest came after Jenkins and another detective were driving an unmarked vehicle patrolling in the Grove Park neighborhood on April 28, 2010. Federal prosecutors wrote at the time that the officers had received information that the area was being used by large-scale drug dealers. Detective Jenkins himself had arrested between 5 and 10 defendants in the area and had seized distribution quantities of drugs, Special Assistant U.S. Attorney Christine Celeste wrote. Jenkins wrote in a statement of probable cause that he and his partner saw a man who was holding cash enter the passenger side of an Acura parked in the block. Jenkins pulled his vehicle in front of Burley's Acura. Suitor, in a separate vehicle, pulled up behind. As Burley began to drive away, Jenkins' partner pulled out his service weapon and ordered Burley to stop. He pulled away, with the detectives in pursuit. The detectives said they lost sight of Burley's vehicle, and he crashed at the intersection of Bell and Gwynn Oak Avenues. The collision forced another vehicle into the porch of a home, killing 87-year-old Albert Davis and severely injuring his wife. In a police report, Jenkins wrote that Suitor conducted the search of the vehicle and found 32 clear plastic bags containing 29 grams of heroin, along with a digital scale. Burley's attorney at the time said Burley disputes much of Detective Jenkins' statement of probable cause, and said the detectives had seized and arrested Burley without justification. Alleged law enforcement observations of an African American entering a parked car with money in a high-crime area do not add up to probable cause, Burley's attorney, Thomas Crow, wrote. Crow also said the officers bumped Burley's car when they blocked it in, and used deadly force by pointing a gun at him. He said police had tried to justify their actions by the later discovery of drugs. The prosecutor on the case at the time backed the officers. The officers believed that a drug transaction was about to take place, based on their experience in seizing drugs from individuals making deals in cars and information provided by informants, Celeste wrote. Burley pleaded guilty in state court to manslaughter in the crash death and received 10 years. In the federal case, he pleaded guilty to a heroin possession charge and received 15 years. The suspect seen getting into the car also pleaded guilty, and received 46 months in prison. In his letter to Judge Catherine C. Blake, Burley argued that Jenkins' indictment was relevant to my case. Previously, prosecutors in the gun task force case have made accusations against Jenkins involving high-speed chases. In one incident in 2016, they say Jenkins and Detective Jemal Rayam, another member of the unit, pursued a vehicle that crashed near Mondawmin Mall. The officers allegedly stole drugs from the vehicle and resold them. Those accusations led to the indictment of a Philadelphia police officer. Prosecutors also say that in 2011, Jenkins and Rayam pursued a vehicle at high speed, resulting in a crash near Mondawmin Mall, and stole $1,800 from the driver. Rayam has pleaded guilty to racketeering and is cooperating with authorities. Suitor had other connections to members of the gun task force. From 2007 to 2009, Suitor worked with Detective Maurice Ward, who has pleaded guilty in the racketeering case and made arrests with Jenkins in 2011. Suitor also worked a handful of cases in 2008 with Detective Mamadou Gondo, who has pleaded guilty. jfenton at baldsun.com. Twitter.com/Justin_Fenton.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County Cop Watch, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of news articles. If you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I have just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago. And so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too, because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheeple up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Sheriff County Cop Watch with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me, and I'm sick of it, so I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave let's say actually, yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, at least I can do it, 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt-free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea too that we have is, if I got, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here, and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. 47,000 of you so far right now. $1 a day. $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head. Help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.